Welcome back. Well, today's book is about something we do in church every month. And I like this book because it made me slow down and really think about what and why we do it. Let's read. Gathered at the Table. Written by Glynis Nellist, illustrated by Anna Kazimai. Glynis was born and raised in a little village in northern England. She grew up in an old house with her mom and dad and 7 brothers and sisters. She's the author of multiple children's books, including "'Twas the Evening of Christmas" and "The Evening of Advent," both of which books I think we've read. Glynis now lives in Michigan with her husband David. They have 4 grown-up kids and 4 grandchildren. Anna is an illustrator from Ukraine. She graduated from National Medical University in Kiev. So technically she's a doctor, but she's never worked as one. Instead, she's always loved drawing. She's a forever Harry Potter fan, and her toddler daughter and baby son make her laugh all the time. Her inspirations are mountains, wild animals, cheese, and the work of the Japanese animator and filmmaker Miyazaki, and Pixar cartoons. Communion is a beautiful, holy, mysterious gift. When we gather at the table to share bread and wine, God's invisible spirit hovers in the air, just like it did over 2,000 years ago when Jesus gathered with his disciples in the upper room. It was evening in Jerusalem. Jesus knew he didn't have long to live on earth. What could he do to help his friends remember how he had lived and loved? Jesus did something very special. In the quietness of that room, Jesus called his disciples to the table. As they watched and listened, Jesus took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and gave it to each of them. Then he took wine, poured it out, and gave that to his disciples too. And as he did, Jesus softly said, "Whenever you eat bread, remember me. Whenever you drink wine, remember me." Called to the table to share the wine and bread. "I want you to remember me," Jesus softly said. Ever since that night, Christians all over the world are called to the table too, as we celebrate communion and remember Jesus. We hear the mysterious words Jesus spoke to his disciples. "This is my body. It is given for you. Every time you eat it, do this in memory of me. This cup is the new covenant in my blood. It is poured out for you." And we wonder what those mysterious words might mean for us. We think about the mystery, the words that Jesus said, and how he gave his life for us as we break the bread. There are different names for this special meal. It can be called Holy Communion, the Lord's Supper, or the Eucharist. The bread can be one large loaf or little wafers. The wine or grape juice can be in one large cup or little ones. We may gather around a table, kneel at an altar, or stay in our seats. But no matter what this special meal is called, and no matter how we receive it, we remember as we take communion that Jesus chose to give his life for us. What wonderful love! Gathered at the table, God's Spirit in the air, we drink the cup of blessing, the bread of life we share. Some children attend a special class to learn all about communion and what it means. Their first Holy Communion is a very special, exciting event, and all the family celebrates. In other churches, even babies are welcome to take communion. But no matter how old we are, whether we attend a class or not, we know that in communion, we are one family, joined together in the love of Jesus. Together in communion, one family, young and old, we celebrate together as ancient words are told. When we get ready to take communion, Jesus knows exactly how we feel. If our hearts are heavy or sad, if we messed up or feel unloved, Jesus knows. And as we reach out for the bread and wine, Jesus reaches out to us and fills us with love, forgiveness, and hope. There's room at the table no matter how we feel. Jesus reaches out to us in this holy meal. As we leave the communion table, God's presence goes with us. We step out into the world, reminded of how Jesus taught us to live and love. We rise from the table, wrapped in the goodness and grace of God, forgiven, loved, and called to share the love of Jesus however and wherever we can. We rise from the table, forgiven, loved, and free. We leave to be the people whom God calls us to be. One special day every year, millions of Christians all around the world celebrate World Communion Sunday. And this year, it was last month, October 5th. Indoors and outdoors, in churches and homes, in cities and on farms, by lake shores and under tents, people remember Jesus as they break bread. The bread might be brown or white, large or little, flat or fluffy, but the color and size and kind don't matter. What matters is that just like the different breads, each one of us represents big, beautiful, diversely different family gathered across God's globe to remember Jesus. Gathered at the table, surrounded by God's grace, we are one Christian family in every time and place. No matter how or where or when communion is celebrated, Jesus stands at the head of every table, reaches out his hands, smiles, and says, "Come, come to the table." The end. What did you think? Well, in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 13, verse 29, it says, "People will come from east and west and north and south, and they will take their places at the feast in God's kingdom." So we are in God's kingdom right now, aren't we? We are God's kingdom here on earth as we are waiting for Jesus to return. So, come back next week and let's read another story together. Bye-bye.